Hi, everybody. Welcome in. I am so excited for tonight's class. I mean, I literally have been like this all day. You know it's going to be a good class when I'm like, how am I going to fit all this in? How am I going to fit this all in? And tonight is so near and dear to my heart because of my personal practice and my teachers who come from this tradition. So, aho tonight. I do feel ready and able to introduce you to the crystal magic of Peru. Welcome in. Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you. I truly am. Is anyone new to Crystal Masters tonight? We do have some new members who've just joined in the last 2 weeks or so. So I want to welcome you in. Thank you for that. I had such a fun day yesterday with my friend Yasmina in Malibu. We had a very adult grown-up play date where we ate cake and chatted and snuggled and walked on the beach together. So I do feel kind of glowy today. And I actually have a gift from her. I'm going to tell you the whole story that actually relates to tonight. So I have a lot of magic up my sleeve this evening. So welcome to anybody who's new. I know, I so far haven't seen anybody in the feed. Oh, Chris03 is new. Welcome to you. So welcoming to you. And if I missed you for any reason, if you said hello and you're new, I just want you to know, hopefully you won't feel new for very long. We've got a really great community of people who are very like-minded and open-hearted and are really here to learn and also to work together and support each other in your learning. So really happy to have you here. And then Susan, it's your birthday. You know what a huge compliment it is when someone joins a class on their birthday? So happy birthday to you, Susan. Celebrating your life and your future and the beauty of this next new year ahead of you. Really glad that you're here tonight. Yeah, look at that. Okay, cheers. So we have a lot of fun work to do tonight. I have a little bin of extra goodies to tell you about because we did a fun little gift with purchase for just our students and our members tonight. So you get free Palo Santo with your order, but you have to use code 23LOVE. And so that is your code for 23% off anything you want at SG, but you're going to get a free Palo Santo stick. And I'm actually going to start us off tonight by burning a little Palo Santo. Palo Santo this is the actual wood of the Palo Santo tree, which is a member of the Bursera family of trees, which includes frankincense. So a lot of the really potent woods and resins for purification come from that member of trees. And all of our Palo Santo comes from Peru. It's sustainably farmed and harvested, meaning that they don't take any of the wood from living trees. All of the Palo Santo that we bring you at Sage Goddess is from dead trees, which is how it should be. We shouldn't be cutting down young trees to produce this. This should be a way of using the whole tree once it's dead, right? Somebody asked why I'm at home today. Because we're not doing body work today. Most of the time in Crystal Masters we do body work, but today I'm actually leading you through a little bit of a meditation and teaching you, and so I thought it'd be sweet to come from my home. And some people in Crystal Masters haven't seen my home because I've been teaching from SG headquarters all year. So hopefully you're really excited, some of you who haven't been home with me before, to kind of be in my personal space. This room is filled with most of the sacred treasures that I've collected over my lifetime. And so it definitely has a very special place in my heart and my vibration. And so I'm really delighted to share it with you. So I hope you're excited. Okay. Now, in your kit for tonight, if you got your tools, came 3 things. The least important of which is stickers, but I love stickers, and so they're important to me. We give you these little sheets of stickers every month. Some of you love them, some of you don't, but we make them at Sage Goddess with our sticker machine, and so we send them to you because some of you like to add them to your notes, or some of you, still write letters like I do, and you put little crystals and flowers and sacred words on your letters. So anyway, hope that's really just a free gift that we give you each month this year. And a lot of you have said you appreciate it. And then we also give you a little, what we call a scent experience. It's either a dram of perfume or in this case, a Palo Santo cone, to give you not just a stone, right, which this is the star of the show, but to give you a way of connecting to the energy of each country that we're studying through the sense of smell. Your sense of smell is connected to what's called the limbic system in your brain. And the limbic system is not the part of your brain that governs language, speech, communication. That's all the prefrontal cortex. Those are the more modern parts of your brain. The limbic system is the part of your brain that doesn't talk. It just feels and remembers. And all of your past life memories are stored there. All your trauma is stored there. But all of your remembrance through scent is stored there. So when you smell something and it's familiar, and it might not even be familiar to you now, but it might be familiar to you from like 3 past lifetimes ago. Has that ever happened? Have you ever been in a country? It happened to me in a cathedral one time when I was traveling abroad. I walked in and I was like, I've been here before. And it was just like the scent of the church. That is your limbic system hard at work, remembering through the sense of smell. So that's why we give you kind of a scent talisman each month. So I'm going to start also by showing you how you burn your little Palo Santo cone, and then we'll get into the gemstone medicine of this month. So if you're in Soul Shift and you have your burner from Mexico, it's still my favorite thing. I haven't put mine away yet. I've been using it almost every day. Right? Yeah, the anatomy of the brain is fascinating. When I was in graduate school, I took all of my electives during my PhD in psychology. And then I took one in business. But I was really interested in adult and developmental psychology, which turns out to be great because I use my training in psychology all the time through Sage Goddess. But studying the anatomy of the brain is a real eye-opener in terms of how people learn and also how people heal. And so all you do is you light the top of the cone, and it will put itself out. And what I like to do is while the cone is burning, this is a centering moment, right? Call your energy into present time. Say a centering prayer. And then you have that. So I'm going to just give a little bit to you, releasing anything, that's troubling you, worrying you, has you distracted. Just send that into the smoke and let the smoke take it. The smoke of Palo Santo is antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antifungal. And so during cold and flu season, it's nice to inhale. You don't have to, but I do. And I've only gotten sick once in the last 2 years, knock on wood. I inhale white sage and Palo Santo smoke pretty much daily, but you don't have to. And then what's really nice about these is you can put them out. This lasts me about 5 burns each cone, and we sent you 3. Yeah. So if you use these well, this should last you, even if you burn it every day, about, 2 weeks? Week and a half? So what you do is you take your cone upside down and you put it out like a cigarette until you don't see any red anymore. And then you can relight it tomorrow. That was just the perfect amount of smoke for me. I don't need any more than that. So you can let it burn, and it will burn for a good hour and smoke you out of your room. Or you can just put it out, which I think is more economical, and then you have it for the next time you want to work with it, which is really cool. So now you have kind of a little bit of the literal sense of Peru, because in session 2 of Soul Shift has begun. This is Crystal Masters. Those Palo Santo sticks are not just Palo Santo. We soaked those in-house at SG in what's called Sahumerio oil. Sahumerio, Sahumerio. And Sahumerio translates in Spanish. Any native Spanish speakers or non-native Spanish speakers like me? Sahumerio translates to sacred smoke. And so this is a commonly used incense blend in Central and South America. You don't see it as much in Mexico. Sahumerio, in my experience, is really Peru. I've seen it in Chile. I've seen it in Colombia, myself personally, and Brazil. And depending on where you get your Sahumerio, it's made with different ingredients. Traditional Sahumerio is Palo Santo, with some eucalyptus and some myrrh. And then I've seen shaman who make their own sahumerio, and they add other ingredients. They'll add flowers and honey. They'll add rose petals, because they say that sweetens the blessings from the spirits. And some of that stuff is really beautiful. And you can actually decide to make your own sahumerio blend. You know, if you have some Palo Santo chips, or you can make a sahumerio oil. If you have eucalyptus oil, a little Palo Santo oil, a little myrrh oil, you can add some rose oil and some lavender and kind of make your own. Am I getting you in the mood? Yeah, so Deidre Davis, look right above you, like where you see the gold box. That's Karen Brown right there, backing us up with the spelling of sahumerio. Humerio is smoke, right? Humo, right, is the Latin root there. And sa represents sagrada, right, sacred. So sahumerio is sacred smoke. Really interesting, right? And yeah, thank you to Team SG. Alexis is working from home today, so is Karen joining us, and so really grateful to have Team SG on backup today. Very thankful for you. Okay, now that just really, like, it's amazing how sahumerio sets the space. And what I mean by that in shamanism, and I do want to say a word about shamanism really quickly before we move into everything else that we're going to talk about tonight. Yeah, you can, Jenny Edwards, because there's nothing harmful in there. You can inhale myrrh, you can inhale eucalyptus. So, you know, if you start making your own and putting weird stuff in there, I can't speak to it, but ours is safe for you to inhale. Yay, Claire's here too. It's a party! I want to say a brief word about shamanism, because we're going to be talking about it tonight, and it is a subject near and dear to my heart, but I don't talk about it very much anymore, and I kind of want to speak to that for just a second. It's an interesting subject of evolving conversation in the healer communities that I'm a part of, which are very diverse, as you can probably imagine. We're going to be talking about shamanism tonight because the word shaman comes up when we talk about Shipibo, which is the pattern on your heart that is commonly either engraved or painted or embroidered. This was the Shipibo gifted to me by my teacher after my first ayahuasca ceremony. So it's very, very sacred. Traditionally, shaman gift their pupils a piece of Shipibo, and she also gifted me a piece of the mother vine, the Banisteriopsis copy. So these are very sacred gifts in my collection. This one I'm actually going to give away tonight, and then this one is the heart of my hearts. So this one is one I just wanted to show you. But the Shipibo pattern, people often say, is a symbol or a marking that you see in shamanism. So one of the things I want to say about that is I used to talk about shamanism a lot, and then I stopped because people I don't have a lot of so I believe that the word shamanism has been reverse what's the word, reverse co-opted, or reverse what do they say when you're borrowing from other cultures without permission? What's that word again? It's like right on the tip of my tongue. It'll come back to me. So what happened with the word shamanism is that that word actually comes from Siberia, and so it doesn't belong to anyone in the Americas. It's not an American word, right? Appropriation, yeah. So I believe the word shaman has been reverse appropriated. I made that term up, so that's not a real term. But appropriation is when people borrow things from cultures that don't belong to them, right, and use them for their own purposes. That's what happened to the word shaman in Central and South America. The original shaman were Siberian. And I have a funny story about that. So now people in Central and South America say that they are shaman and nobody else can call themselves shaman because you have to have this kind of training, or you have to be initiated in this lineage, or you have to come from the bloodline and all these things, right? So actually, if you're not Siberian, then you are engaging in cultural appropriation. And what's really funny is and some of you know this story, I had a friend whose mother was a Siberian shaman. And to this day, I never met her mom. Unfortunately, she passed away before I had a chance to meet her. But to this day, she is still one of the most magical people I ever met. And she came directly from the lineage. And so I said, so does your mother call herself a shaman? And she said, no. She said, no. Siberian people don't refer to themselves really directly as shaman. Like, someone might refer to her as a shaman, but she would not say, I am a shaman. And so she said, it's really funny, like, people are much more careful about it, where the term originated, than they are in these other countries, right? So anyway, I am preaching a little bit. I do consider myself a shaman. My teachers consider me a shaman. And I've been initiated in different traditions as a shaman. But I don't refer to myself that way anymore. But when people say, but are you? I was always kind of like, yes, but, like, we don't talk about it. It's like Fight Club, right? We don't talk about it. So I just want to say that to you. Like, I do consider a lot of what we're talking about tonight to be practices that I'm trained in. But I still don't really use that word just because I think it's charged, and I think it's become something that, like, people don't even really know what it means anymore, and it causes these weird arguments. And honestly, at the end of the day, I call myself a medicine person because that's what my grandmother and great grandmother called themselves. Like, those are actually women in my personal lineage who did what I would call shamanic work, but they just consider themselves medicine people. So when people say, what are you? I usually say spiritual teacher or medicine person, because I think it's much more accurate to describe what I do. But I still think that I am someone who walks between worlds, and that is the strict definition of a shaman. Someone who is in this world with living people, but I'm also in that world with the dead people most of the time. And I have to figure out how to be human and still do what I have to do on the energetic plane, and be able to do that with some measure of grace while I'm still cooking dinner and doing dishes and, picking up my kids' garbage off the floor, and I'm over here, like, trying to help spirits cross thresholds and remove energetic darts from people's field, and, like, so I have to find a way to match those two, but I prefer to call it a medicine person. Is that helpful for you? I don't think you have to label yourself, and especially, like, here we think, like, crystal healers, right? Like, even that term is becoming like, is everybody a crystal healer? So what differentiates one crystal healer from another crystal healer? Priestess is great. I think that's good, and it has a lot of antiquity and lineage. A lot of us share that lineage directly too. And so I would just say, find a term that works for you. And if you don't have any term, great. Because I think terms create boxes. We put people in boxes to label them, and then we stop trying to learn. So I like the idea that we're open-minded and we find ways to describe ourselves that make sense to other people. So shamanism isn't something that I'll be teaching precisely for the reasons that I'm sharing with you, but I will tell you, if you've been studying with me for a long time, you are learning much of the core teaching. What you're missing, really, if I ever did teach it, I would have to do some part of it in person. You would be missing some of the in-person ceremonial aspects that I think are really important for what I would consider an initiation. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Jer's right. I think we're sort of beyond the labels. I love that Michelle Feuerstein says, I don't have a term. Great. So we're all on the same page. So when you hear me talk about shamanism tonight, it is near and dear to my heart, but it's not something that I talk about just because I honestly, I just don't want to hear it. I have strong feelings about it, and I don't like to stir up controversy, and I just figure let sleeping dogs lie, as my grandmother used to say. Okay, so let's back up. There's so much to cover tonight. It's good when I have multiple pages of notes. I have 3 pages of notes for tonight. I'm going back to page 1. I have been sick since last week, Wednesday. I actually ended up very, very sick after last week's class in Soul Shift with the flu. And I've been sick since. So today is the first day I really have my voice back. Please do bear with me. I've got energy drinks, I've got throat lozenges, and I'm going to absolutely do my best to be here with you for the whole 3 hours. Okay, from now until 4:30, 4:45, I'm going to be teaching you. After that, until 6 p.m., that is the second half of our class, which is Q&A. You can ask me anything about tonight's class or broader questions about crystal healing. I'm really here for you. And that is just open territory, okay? For the first half of class, you're going to really see me focusing on the camera, and students tend to appreciate that. What that also means is you can focus on the camera. If you like being in the feed and chit-chatting, I have no problem with it. I mean, the social aspect of class is really cool. But some people like me have attention issues, and so they need to really focus. When I'm focusing, they need to focus. And so you can shut the chat off if you want. I won't be answering or really responding to the feed for the next hour or so because I really want to get into the nuts and bolts of everything because it's so jam-packed tonight. And I have a little brief mantra and meditation for you that I want to do with you. So, but the second half of class is when I will really be focused on the feed and all of your questions. And so there will be plenty of time for that. And I hope you're excited about that too. The Q&A part is something I love, because we can go all over the place and talk about really interesting things. And so we will have plenty of time for that. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So those are your tools for tonight. We've talked about the Palo Santo cone. So for the rest of tonight, we're really going to be focusing on the Peruvian opal heart, and this is the centerpiece of your kit. I do have a question for you. There are about 50 or 60 of these that arrived broken, chipped, you know what I mean, in different places. Would anybody who missed the tools be interested in one that's chipped? I mean, obviously, you would have the chance to, purchase that at a lower price. But it seems sad to just leave them in a box somewhere. They arrived from Peru broken. And we didn't want to send those out to anybody. So you can let Karen and Alexis and Claire know if you'd be interested. If so, we could always just pop them on the website as the broken hearts. I think they're still beautiful and still have lots of energy. And I will say my heart's broken, and I still think I have a good heart. My heart's been broken 1,000 times, right? So if you'd be willing to give those a lovely home, I think that's kind of a cool thing. I don't have them right now. It would take us like a couple of days to figure that out. But if you are interested in a broken heart, you can let us know and we will try to make that happen for you. Okay, so tonight is about love medicine. Love medicine. And I was trying to figure out when to play this for you, but it kind of seems like maybe starting with this is a good place to begin. Yeah, and if yours came chipped, Beth, you need to send it back and we'll send you one that isn't chipped. We shouldn't have done that, and it was probably an accident, so I'll take care of you. Okay, so we are going to be studying 3 things tonight, okay? The shape of the heart itself and what that means. We're going to be studying this pattern on the front, which is called the Shipibo pattern. And then we're going to be studying the energy of pink opal itself. Okay, so 3 different kind of layers of work we're doing together tonight. I will tell you, this is one of my favorite things we've ever brought you at SG. And part of it is what this pattern means to me as an ayahuasca student, somebody who has what we call sat with the mother more than 10 times now in my life, and which is profound. Most people haven't done ayahuasca 10 times, but I have friends who've done it 1,000 times. So I'm not the most experienced, but I have more experience than some. And I am, I would say, a devotee of that particular medicine and a student of hers. And she's a tough teacher. And this pattern called Shipibo, Shipibo, this is one type of Shipibo pattern. As I mentioned to you, there are different types of Shipibo patterns. This is also Shipibo. And these are all hand embroidered. And this is also Shipibo. But again, you can see the geometric lines. Now, there's different theories about why the lines, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. But I want to talk about not so much the what right now of Shipibo, but the how. Sorry, there was like a pop-up on my computer. I want to talk about the how Shipibo happens, okay? When this pattern is created, what the Shipibo people say, because remember, Shipibo is a language, a shape, and a population of people. It is a small and dwindling population, although there's increased interest in Shipibo culture right now because of the proliferation of ayahuasca around the world. The Shipibo people are the primary producers of ayahuasca, and they are the primary ceremonial keepers of that tradition and that medicine. And so when you drink ayahuasca tea, which is a psychotropic, hallucinogenic. Um, these patterns are how you know it's, as they say, setting in or coming on. Okay, when the medicine is in your system, you start to see these particular geometric patterns. You'll see other geometries too. But like if I was working with ayahuasca right now and I was looking at the camera and looking at you, I would be seeing the camera through these geometric shapes, and that's how I would know. Because never during ayahuasca, at least for me, are you like out of your mind. Like I could sit here and teach this class on medicine. It would be very easy, actually, and quite interesting. Maybe one day. But at the same time that I could see you and see the feed, I would be seeing your name with all the geometries around it. So this is a sign that you are on medicine. Does that make sense? When it's in your system. And then when it's leaving your system, all of a sudden the patterns become lighter and lighter and lighter until you're looking for them and you're looking for them and you're looking for them and they're not there. And that's how you know your time is complete, right? Now, these shaman who work with ayahuasca in the Shipibo tradition say that they hear these patterns. They don't see them. They hear them as music. These particular shaman. And so what they do is they sing something called an Icaro, I-C-A-R-O. And the Icaros are always sung in the Shipibo, Kunibo language. I'm going to play you an Icaro. There, if you go to Spotify or SoundCloud and search Icaro or ayahuasca Icaro, you're going to find thousands of them. Okay, and there are beautiful maestros and maestras who sing these Icaros, but there's certain common traits in all of them, and I want to play one for you just so that you can drop into the energy of tonight's experience a little bit more. I'm a visual and an auditory learner, so singing helps me, visual images help me. So maybe roll your shoulders back and just listen to an Icaro, and you will have something of the experience of the Shipibo through your ears instead of just through taking this in through your eyes. My soul just goes whoop, out the window. Bye. Woo. When people first hear an Icaro, sometimes they don't like it, or they're like, "What is that?" Did you hear that? That's the Chacapa. Anybody who got your soul shift tools this month has a chakapa in your kit. And we had those handmade in Peru, and it has Shipibo around the handle. Each one of those was handmade in the traditional Shipibo way, right? Did you feel it? I have not done ayahuasca in the Amazonia. I've only done ayahuasca here in the United States. Yeah, but I have done retreats. I just haven't done them in country. Woo. And there are people like, you know, my one of my teachers does Ikaro training. So she teaches you how the, you know, ayahuasca, ya dee 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 dee. So there's a whole, like, there are some like kind of common lyrics, but I haven't gone through the Ikaro training, so I haven't done that yet. You want to hear it one more time? I'll play a little bit more for you. Actually, can I take 2 seconds and try to find something really quick on Instagram? Do you mind? I don't want to take your time, but my friend Mose, who is a musician, posted the account of a woman named Giselle, and she sings Ikaro. Oh, here it is. Listen. She's beautiful, isn't she? I'm glad I got to show you that. So you can follow her on Instagram and see the other songs that she's posted too. So it's beautiful. If you have a female, right, the Ikaro is a little bit different. If you have a male, the voice in the Ikaro is a little bit, drops you in a little bit more, right? So yeah, she's really beautiful and her voice is incredible. So that was her. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Shipibo. And then we'll talk about the heart, and then we're going to do our meditation, and then we'll switch to Q&A. Isn't she gorgeous? Yeah. Okay, so the Shipibo are an indigenous population. The rough numbers, did I write that down? The language is spoken, they say, estimated 24,000 people now. Between what the 2 groups called the Shipibo and the Konibo, which they tend to combine them. If you start researching the Shipibo, you're going to find it referred to as Shipibo Konibo, and that's because there's 2 populations, but they speak the same language, and the estimate is 24,000 people total who speak the language. Now the art is called Kene, K-E-N-E, Kene. Okay, that's what they call the geometric patterns. They are either painted or glazed. Sometimes they'll paint them or glaze them onto floors and walls and ceilings. Can you imagine? Or, like I said, most commonly it's embroidered. Anybody remember the old Sage Goddess headquarters? We can't find it right now. It's in storage somewhere, but I have a huge Shipibo flower of life, hand embroidered, that was on the classroom wall forever. One of my prized possessions. That was from my friend Victor, who passed away from COVID a couple of years ago. So the ayahuasca ceremonies in Peru are run by the Onanyabo. Okay, the Onanyabo, O-N-A-N-Y-A-B-O, is the Peruvian equivalent of what we call an ayahuasquero in Spanish. So somebody who leads, who takes the medicine but also leads the ceremonies. They're the ones who sing the Ikaros. Now, here's what I think is really fascinating, okay? Do you have the canvas from it? Ugh, that's a treasure and a half. I don't think we have that canvas anymore. So, yeah, the Kene are the patterns. K-E-N-E are the patterns. And so what I want to tell you about that is what the Onanyabo would say is that they when they're singing the Ikaro, they are actually scanning the people who are about to take medicine. And that the song shows them where the energetic blockages are. Here's the quote, and I'm translating it from the Shipibo language, okay? But I really want you to hear these words. I'm going to say it twice. This is the Shipibo philosophy of healing, okay? This is the what, and then ayahuasca is the how, okay? What the Shipibo people say is, if all obstacles to healing are removed, God will take care of the rest. I'll say it again. If all obstacles to healing are removed, God will take care of the rest. So what the Shipibo believe is that they sing the Ikaro. They are able to see, as they're singing the Ikaro, because of the patterns in the language, they can see two things. They see this pattern, which becomes a code. This is a clearing code. Gives me chills. This is a code to remove obstacles from the body so that God can do the rest. Does that make sense? So that's why when a student first works with ayahuasca for the first time, the reason a teacher gives them Shipibo is because they have now removed the obstacles, in theory, because that's what ayahuasca does. My shaman calls himself Roto-Rooter, right? It removes the impurities and the obstacles so that God can do the rest. And so this is like an initiation amulet, if you will, or a marking that you have passed through that threshold. So they scan the body by listening to the Ikaro, and then they hear the pattern. And if you watch someone painting Shipibo, sometimes they're not even looking, you guys, at what they're doing. Even as they're embroidering, sometimes they're like this. What? I mean, this is a very intricate geometric pattern. And I've seen people who are embroidering and they're not looking at what they're doing. I've seen people painting and they're not looking at the lines. And that's where it's like there has to be some magic in the mix here, you know? Yeah, no, they are on medicine. This is an entirely a ayahuasca-based process. Now, there are people who create Shipibo patterns without working with medicine. So it's not exclusive to the ayahuasca community, but 90% of what I've seen of Shipibo has been created by people who are working with ayahuasca as a medicine, okay? So Shipibo is the process of being able to scan for impurities, remove them so that God can fix the rest. And ayahuasca is the medicine that comes through and actually removes the impurities from the system. And you can feel it do it. That's why it's so hard, though, because it's literally, you know, it's going through your system and pulling plugs. Like, nope, that's got to go, that's got to go, that's got to go. You did that, we're going to remove that. That person did this, we're going to take that. And that's why it's so incredibly hard, because it can be reaching down to when you were 3 years old, or when you were 10 years old, or the last 6 months, or your past life 5,000 years ago, or what you never know what it's going to pull up. The weeds in your garden, and there are endless weeds in your garden because you've been here 1,000 times, and so there's no end to what weeds it's going to pull, and you don't know where it's going to pull those weeds from, right? So they see the pattern, they translate the pattern. Now, other things I want to tell you. Here's how different Shipibo shaman have referred to what's happening here. Okay, I just want to give you these different perspectives. Some refer to it as a map of consciousness. That pattern right there. That is a map of the cosmos, or the map of consciousness. Some of them refer to it as the energetic matrix. So we all exist here, and they're translating it. Some refer to it as the code of the Ikaro, the light code of the Ikaro, the ancient language. I'm translating from Shipibo, by the way. The ancient language, the rivers of the Amazonia, and the pathway or pathfinding of the anaconda. So you can see it means different things to different people, but I'm fascinated by it all, right? Could it be a light code? Yes. Could it be a translation of the rivers in the Amazon? Have you seen the Amazon or been there? Yes. Like, this could be those. Could it be the pathway of the anaconda? Yes, right. And then maybe it's not any of those things. Those are just the things that, you know, the Madre has taught us through this medicine, that this is what it is. But what's interesting is that we all see it. I've never talked to anybody who worked with ayahuasca who hasn't seen Shipibo pattern, who hasn't seen this on the walls, inside their mind, on their skin. And when I look down at my arm, my whole arm is covered in it, right? In gold, right? You can see it, and it's vibrating on your skin, right? So, and when you look at other people, you can see it on their face. You'll see like a swath of Shipibo. You'll see it down their back. Like I've seen wings on people with all the Shipibo pattern on their wings. So it's a pretty amazing experience, and for me it's been common. I don't know if you know anybody who's worked with it that hasn't seen it, but for me it's been very common. Okay, I'm sure that's going to leave you with a lot of questions, but that's what the second half of class is for. I've got angry hummingbirds outside my window, by the way, because their feeder is empty and it's really hot today. So I actually made myself a note before class because they're all circling around me right now. Okay, now I want to back up and talk about pink opal. So that's everything I want to share on Shipibo, but like I said, if you have more questions, I'm so down to like go more into that, or not if you're not interested in that, right? Okay, pink opal comes from the Acari mine, Acari, in Arequipa, Peru, and that's spelled Arequipa. The Acari mine in Arequipa, Peru. There are other locations and localities of pink opal in the world, but this is from Peru. So we had this mined in Peru, we had this cut in Peru, and we had this engraved in Peru. And it was a minor miracle. Like, even up until the end of the process, we didn't think this was going to happen. So when these arrived, and I actually held it in my hand, like if I seem awestruck by it, it's because I don't even know how we did it. And I don't know how we did it for the price. Like, the whole thing was really crazy, but so these are all hand carved, and you can tell. I mean, maybe some people like machine carved things, but I really like hand carved. You can see the tool markings and everything on these. So there's a lot of energy in this. I hope this is going to be your constant companion. I will tell you, I have slept with mine since I brought it home. It was about a week and a half ago my sample came. I have kept it here in my crystal room. I carried it with me yesterday to Yasmina's house. It's just kind of been my constant companion. So I don't know if you feel that way about yours, but it definitely has had that impression on mine. Now, pink opal is called the Munay stone. Munay. And I'm going to teach you more about Munay tonight, because Munay is the Quechua term, and Quechua is the language spoken in much of the Andes Mountains today. Munay, like all really important words, doesn't really translate to English. Okay? But Munay means love. And it's the kind of love that you don't have to earn. It's the kind of love you can't describe in words. It is a divine love, a spiritual love. Let me make sure I've got all my, yeah. It's a state of being kind, a state of being caring, accepting, of being warm, of being pure in your emotions. It is a love for which there is no translation into language. It's a state of being and a state of feeling, and that's the closest that the Peruvian people feel like you can translate the word Munay. Now, there are rites of initiation that you may have heard of before called the Munay Ki, Munayki. Anybody heard of the Munay Ki? Yeah, there are other words in other languages, like agape in Greek, right? Which there's no perfect translation for agape. Every translation I've ever heard of agape, I'm like, that's not really agape, but it's as close as we can get. And English, for those of you who are multilingual like me, English is such a one-dimensional language. I love it, and it is my native language, but it is so one-dimensional. Most other languages, even the Romance languages, have at least 2 dimensions, right? And then you get into Greek, Latin, Sanskrit, which have, like, in my opinion, 3 dimensions. They have 3 genders, right? Masculine, feminine, and neuter, or neutral. So English is very one-dimensional. It's quite flat, right? We only have one word for certain things, and it doesn't really apply, right? So Munay is a wonderful word. The Munay Ki is a combination of the word Munay from Quechua, which means, again, love that defies description and is really more of a state of being in the world. And Munay is something that, in theory, we're supposed to give to everybody. Again, because you don't have to earn it. So I can offer Munay to you. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, what you're going to do, what your title is, how fancy you are. Doesn't even matter whether I know you or not, right? Anybody. I can offer the man walking down the street Moonai, simply because he's human and I'm human. And therefore he's worthy of a certain kind of unconditional kindness and love, because he's sacred. He is a source creation, right? And I love that there's a word for that, because again, in English, love doesn't, you can't put that in the same bucket as love, because most people think of love as being pretty conditional. Like, I love you until you make me mad, right? Or I love you until X, Y, or Z happens. I'm going to take just a break and go take some cough medicine. Give me 2 minutes. I really apologize. I thought it was going to be okay, so I didn't take the cough medicine, but I really do need it. I'll be back in 2 minutes. This is what it's like having the flu. I'll be right back. Hopefully that wasn't even 2 minutes. I knew right where it was. Yeah, if you went to pee, I hope you were able to pee real quick. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Moonai Ki, okay? Moonai, M-U-N-A-Y, Ki is K-I. Okay. Ki is not a Quechua term. Ki is Japanese for energy. And so the Moonai Ki is like this kind of hybrid Peruvian, Quechuan, Japanese practice of activating these 9 rites of initiation. And different people do it different ways. There's usually this sort of donut-shaped pendant that's activated during the Moonai Ki. Some people give other things. I've seen shaman in Peru give gold rings for each one of the 9. Like, people have taken the process and kind of translated it into their own ways. Oh, Emily, no, but maybe later. I have found that Delsum is the best cough syrup in the world. I don't know, and I'm not promoting Delsum. I'm just telling you, I've never seen anything stop a cough like Delsum. Like, I promise you, I won't cough for the rest of our class now because I took it. So it's magic stuff. Okay. Anyway, we're not doing the Moonai Ki tonight. We're not activating those rites. There are places you can go. And I've even heard there's like virtual places to have the Moonai Ki rites given to you or activated in you or initiated in you. I don't know about any of that. So, but there's probably people in our community who've done it. And if that's something that you're interested in, it's certainly something that you can pursue if you would like.